Essential layers of protection. The doctors, Dr. Joel David Tiloxing says, a false narrative has been created that individual refusal of vaccines is the only reason to enforce and maintain restrictions. Scolding or blaming people for not taking a jab will never work, while ignoring them betrays a lack of strategy. Let's go to the king, buffer, and bottle washer. Let's go and listen, because doctors, anybody with sense would know that a prime minister who failed to procure vaccinations, who failed to procure the amount of vaccinations, the quality, the mixture of vaccinations required to keep his population safe, should be in no position to be buffing people. And then he's screaming and buffing people, and yet Sapa, Wapa, Napa, everywhere empty, because we've reached the stage now that all of those who are willing to get vaccine have basically gone. Now you need education, intelligence, strategy, program, different vaccines, efficacy, different varieties. You can't just force them or give them pizza. Let's listen to this most intelligent human being who's been involved at the forefront of the pandemic war, the war against COVID-19, for the last 18 months. This man has been listening to the science nearly every day ad nauseum, and he didn't sleep. He worked night after night, and he should really be very bright on the issue. Is he? Run it.
If we do a little arithmetic, if we say that we have vaccines for 600,000 people, and very many people out there either knowing or asymptomatically not knowing that they have COVID, but they have COVID among them in the population, a certain amount of natural immunity is taking place in the population. Persons who have it get over, didn't even know they had it. But if you check them, you'll find that the body would have developed some immunity to a virus that they didn't even know they had. And a rough estimate of that happening without any intervention is approximately, let's say, and for the mathematics that we're going to work, let's say approximately 200,000 people in the population of 1.4 million have in fact or are in fact immunizing themselves naturally, not needing a vaccine. So we add that to the 600,000 that we have. So therefore we're catering for 800,000 people. Still means that we have another 600,000 to deal with. And if we take out 400,000 from that 600,000 as under 18, children and up to 18 who are not to be vaccinated, then we're looking at approximately another 200,000 people who are not covered by not being young or not self-immunized or not vaccinated.
I don't know where to start. If y'all are just not naturally ashamed that that is a prime minister who has been involved in a topic, an issue, for the last 17 months, and that amount of nonsense, I think that clip was just a minute and 20 seconds, you know. The amount of stupidity that came out of that man's mouth. And we're going to have to listen to it again, you know. You can't just let that kind of dunceness pass once, you know. First and foremost, boss man, if you have natural immunity and thing, what you take vaccine for? And yet, and they show we happy, I think when you take vaccine, when Rodney Child and them ask if you take the Pfizer, you cuss down the place and Ball Kamala have COVID. When you come now and show we on Facebook, you taking choke. But then you had COVID, so you have a natural immunity. So you won't need no vaccine. Then next thing, And he was the one who tell Parasham and Hines and them when he was in Tobago and he get a runny nose and he was sneezing 6 p.m., sneezing more and he had a stuffy nose, and then he went for a test and he get COVID. Them didn't come out and tell me, well, all right, we have to contact trace because COVID, 14 days, you know, the cabinet, the government, these are critical things. All of these people he met with, and we want to know and make sure that his family is safe, his children are safe, his grandchild, everybody has been tested. They may come and tell me all of that information, you know. They didn't tell me about his comorbidities and he had a little heart problem there, and this, we are making sure of this, and we have these experts. No, in case we love him now and so on. They didn't tell me all of that as normal doctors would. They come and tell me, no, he can't take vaccine till October. He can't take, because if you get COVID, you can't take vaccine for 6 months. But yet he come and take vaccine 3 months after. But now come and tell me that if you have COVID-19, you could have an immunity and you don't need vaccine. And then the mathematics. I have a problem with the mathematics. And before you go to the mathematics, if his estimation, my beautiful people who believe this liar does talk the truth, if all you believe this email gate liar, this land gate liar, this sheep farm liar, this Renaissance liar, this Las Alturas liar, this Delcy Gate liar, this HDC liar, this NGC liar, this Point Lisas liar, this Atlantic Train wherever liar, this Mandela Park liar, if all you believe he, the election observer liar. Let me ask you all this. If it's 200,000 now we who have this natural immunity that doctors not so sure and no real confirmed science about the totality or the distance or the time or the antigen or the antibodies, none of that really them, because we're in the midst of a battle, right? But he now come to tell me 200,000 are we have COVID-19? Really? So back before the election, let me go back now based on what he's saying, you know. What was the data then, Dr. Rowley? If we reach 200,000 are we that had COVID-19, when you and Convent Girl went in the election and Berlin were #1 in the world, and Oxford, 2 drunk students from Oxford say, yes, we're protecting the borders and keeping the virus out, all of that nonsense that people voted on. When we only had 116 positive cases for 54 days, and borders was locked down and 8 deaths. And then we went into an election, and by the time the election people vote August 10th, it had about 4,650 positive tests. How we reached 200,000 now, Dr. Rowley? All you was lying all the time. You was hiding the positive cases. Where did 200,000 positive come from, Rowley? Run it back again and listen to this total one fool away. He's so dense. He can't be one fool, you know. He had to be about 5 fool in one. Run it.
If we do a little arithmetic, if we say that we have vaccines for 600,000 people, and very many people are out there either knowing or asymptomatically not knowing that they have COVID, but they have COVID among them in the population, a certain amount of natural immunity is taking place in the population. Persons who have it get over didn't even know they had it. But if you check them, you'll find that the body would have developed some immunity to a virus that they didn't even know they had. And a rough estimate of that happening without any intervention is approximately, let's say, and for the mathematics that we're going to work, let's say approximately 200,000 people in the population of 1.4 million have in fact or are in fact immunizing themselves naturally, not needing a vaccine. So we add that to the 600,000 that we have. So therefore we're catering for 800,000 people. Still means that we have another 600,000 to deal with. And if we take out 400,000 from that 600,000 as under 18, children and up to 18 who are not to be vaccinated, then we're looking at approximately another 200,000 people who are not covered by not being young, or not self-immunized, or not vaccinated.
So, he is not really an incompetent idiot who failed to get vaccinations in a timely manner for the population and who has overseen the deaths of nearly 1,100 citizens, and the Brazilian variant that came through porous borders, and the Delta variant, which most likely is here, because if this idiot is in charge, the Delta variant might be here, it might have a Z variant, a V variant, and an Oreo variant also, that will all be here because this man is an idiot. But so he is trying to concoct mathematics to tell you that I'm not really a goat. I am not really an idiot who didn't get vaccines for all you. That we really good. A lie and ball 800,000 Johnson & Johnson was coming in July, it reached. We a lie and say, boy, it had no Pfizer ever, but it had 351,000 that was available in February and we didn't get. I lie and say, well, beggars, we didn't know about nothing about India giving vaccine with AstraZeneca, but now Paris, I'm telling we, the 40,000 AstraZeneca that Kamala get for we, it real good because it might give we longevity and protection for 10 years and so on. I didn't get no Pfizer except for 200 doses that somehow I get a choke, but come in a picture to tell you I taken Siao, but now tell you that I had COVID-19 and I naturally immune, so I didn't have to take no vaccine and so on. And I'm just letting you know that the population of Trinidad and Tobago is 1.4 million, yes, clung, but then it had 200,000 illegal immigrants. You forget that in your mathematics. So he trying to say through his incompetence that somehow, while everybody with a brain knows that we are the worst in vaccination, that we are dead behind, that even if all of we wanted vaccination we can't get, that we only have Siao because he was waiting to sign a loan agreement for 205 million US, of which 15% was lucky to buy Chinese jab, while India was giving jab free. USA giving out 580 million jab, we ain't get none. UK giving out 90 million jab, we ain't get no. But this jab is a very intelligent fella. Well, let me show you something. And when I tell you that there must be an inquiry into this COVID-19 fiasco, and Dr. Tim Gopi Singh and Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC calling for it, an inquiry into every COVID-19 death. Let me just show you something. I'm not even going to bother with the gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, because like that, not under the PNM, that's not a possibility, because they don't invest in sport, they don't do nothing, they cut everything. So let we take the 5th place Sinopharm. Let we just deal with the 5th place. Now, even with the 5th place, you would see that this man is a total incompetent human being. Watch United Arab Emirates with the same Siao, the same Sinopharm. December 14, 2020, the United Arab Emirates launched COVID-19 vaccinations on Monday after it approved. So the United Arab Emirates doctors approved the jab from the Chinese giant Sinopharm, the same one we have now, right? The UAE is a population of 10 million, 9.9 million population. And they only have 1,960 deaths because 70% of their population was vaccinated because of their decisive nature, their good government, their access to vaccines, the same Sinopharm that we have, and they did not wait for no WHO emergency approval. Look at it. 1,960. Their population is 10 times bigger than us, yet we have 1,100 by tomorrow deaths. Why? Put back up the picture of the one fool and let me show you why we are in this position. Even ignore, forget that if Kamala was there, we would have get 400,000 Pfizer. 500,000 AstraZeneca from India in January. Forget that she would have get Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. She would have purchased vaccines across the board. Forget that we would have had herd immunity under Kamala by April 2021. Forget that. Let's just go with Mr. Siao. These United Arab Emirates got their population 70%. They start vaccinating in December. We only now start, and this man come to lie to tell we about 200,000 people that them say we didn't have COVID. We're number one in the world. We only had 116 positives where we reached 200,000 positives now. Keith Rowley. Look at our death rate compared to the United Arab Emirates. We are at 1,100 dead citizens. Their population is 10 million and they at 1,962,000. Because they were fully vaccinated, because they acted, they moved, and they moved with alacrity to save their people. This clown, this one fool away, just come every day and shouting down at me and buffing and vaccinating and who could work, and if you want the economy to open and the state of emergency to lift, but you ain't get no vaccine. And you're still listening to this complete blithering idiot. People life, you know.